If you're anything like me and just finished watching 50 Cent's Diddy documentary on Netflix, you probably noticed something odd right away. For many viewers, Jay-Z feels almost invisible. No real presence, no standout moments, no focus, despite being connected to so many key figures in the story. And that's exactly where the online conversation begins. Across forums, clips, and commentary channels, people have been claiming there was an entire segment tied to episode 4 that never made the final cut. Some have even started calling it the Jay-Z tapes. The story going around is that 50 pushed hard to include that section, but here's the twist. According to chatter online, it still didn't make it in at the last moment. I'm going to walk you through what people say was left out and why content like that can vanish from a final edit. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could a random YouTuber know what got cut from a Netflix documentary? That's fair. I'm not presenting rumors as confirmed facts, but I can summarize the public conversation that's been fueling this speculation. Watching the online buzz for a while, one theme kept popping up. Claims that 50 had tension with the producers over how much control he wanted over the final edit. Many brushed it off until Gene Deal spoke in recent interviews in a way that suggested there really was friction behind the scenes. So, no matter how you slice it, something significant seems to have been left on the cutting room floor.
Wasn't playing football and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it, but I don't know what kind of half a homo that is, and you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them, but they were so close that they had matching.
I'm not just throwing out random theories for clicks. The conversation got even louder when 50 recently posted on Instagram with a caption many took as a hint that unseen footage exists. You can check it yourself. The point is this. The way he framed it poured gasoline on an already viral story. That something was filmed, but viewers never got to see it. Netflix ultimately decided what made the final cut, but the speculation around what didn't is what's fueling the buzz. Before we dive into cut footage, think about this. Plenty of other big names appear throughout the documentary. J-Lo gets mentioned. Biggie comes up. Cassie is front and center. Names are flying left and right. Yet Jay-Z barely shows up, at least compared to everyone else. That doesn't automatically mean there was a cover-up, but it's a noticeable contrast. And when a major figure seems missing while others are highlighted, it naturally raises questions. Was this a creative choice, a legal decision, or something else entirely? Now, to understand the context, you need to know one thing. Jay-Z and Diddy weren't just casual acquaintances running into each other at events. For years, they've moved in the same circles, and insiders describe them as genuinely close. Not just a one-time business connection, but real familiarity. This is where Gan Deal comes in. Often described as Diddy's former bodyguard, he's been doing interviews lately, pushing back against the idea that Jay-Z and Diddy were only loosely connected. There's also chatter about Jay-Z's camp trying to downplay their closeness as Diddy's legal issues escalated. Gan's response was blunt. What the public saw didn't match that narrative. He described their relationship as one of comfort and familiarity, joking, speaking freely, something you don't usually have with someone you barely know. Of course, none of this proves anything on its own, but it helps explain why people notice the silence around Jay-Z. And as the conversation shifts, fans start bringing up Jaguar Wright and her appearance on Piers Morgan, adding another layer to the speculation.
Does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing to see what's right.
There have been widespread claims online that parts of that discussion were edited out, removed, or became difficult to find once clips started circulating. The exact reasons aren't confirmed, but when viewers notice a segment disappearing or being altered, it fuels the perception that certain conversations aren't meant to stay public for long. With that context, here's what people say 50 Cent tried to include in episode 4. The first explosive angle, according to rumors, wasn't about a feature, a deal, or a party story. It focused on Jay-Z's private life. These were unverified personal allegations that could quickly become a legal minefield. Jaguar Wright has made headlines for bold claims in this area before, and in one viral clip, she asserted having knowledge of details that the public rarely, if ever, hears discussed openly.
Here's a fun little fact. I actually have verifiable knowledge of all 15 of Mr. Carter's illegitimate children that he hides from the world.
These are claims, not verified facts. Online statements like this spread like wildfire because they sound detailed enough to feel real, yet remain unconfirmed. According to the chatter, 50 Cent reportedly wanted to go further than speculation, bringing people forward, showing documents, and explaining why these claims never reached mainstream awareness. However, the same discussions suggest that Netflix didn't want any of it included. Too controversial, too risky, too much legal exposure. Once a documentary begins presenting unverified allegations about major figures, the consequences can be significant. Rumor has it that these were the questions 50 hoped viewers would ask. But the narrative online is that Netflix blocked the audience from even getting that far. This next part is where things turn uncomfortable, and intentionally so. This is the point where conversation shifts from messy rumors to suggestions of serious wrongdoing. The circulating claim is that 50 had more than one source ready to speak on camera about these allegations.
To have a real conversation about whether or not Rihanna was trafficked to Def Jam.
She was the innocent baby when she came over here. And look
She
at
was
her now.
14 going on 15 years old, flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning in a hotel room, auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl.
With no parental consent.
With no parental, nobody. She was flown. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone with no parental supervision.
According to the same online chatter, none of that content made it into the final cut. Here's what people claim but was meant for episode 4, a segment focused on Rihanna's early career and the influence of powerful gatekeepers shaping her path behind the scenes. Before you dismiss it as wild speculation, consider why this story keeps circulating. Fans and commentators take the publicly known timeline and layer in unverified details, creating a narrative that feel darker than the confirmed facts. The known timeline is straightforward. Rihanna was discovered in Barbados, connected with producer Evan Rogers, and quickly transitioned into the U.S. music scene. That rapid rise fuels speculation, not because it proves wrongdoing, but because fans wonder who controlled access and guided her through that fast-moving machine. The rumors online go further, adding alleged meetings, times and motives, presenting them as if verified. None of that is confirmed, and it shouldn't be treated as fact. What's clear is that early music careers often involve intense schedules, high stakes, and fast decisions. Rihanna herself has described that period as overwhelming. Late nights, massive life changes, and being far from friends and family. In interviews, she emphasized the challenge of suddenly being in a big city surrounded by strangers, a word that prompts broader questions about support systems, mentorship, and guidance when someone's career explodes overnight. Fans also bring up label dynamics. Around that time, Def Jam had multiple artists in motion, and trajectories shifted as priorities changed. For example, some argue that Taylor Mari's momentum slowed once Rihanna's rise took center stage. Label decisions are often strategic, fast, and impersonal, but to the public, it can appear personal or calculated. Rumors extend even further. Some speculate why Rihanna and Beyoncé never officially collaborated, interpreting Rihanna's art, like the Anti-Era album cover, as symbolic of control, silence, or industry pressure. Some read it as a cry for help. Others insist it's just artistic expression. Either way, it's interpretation, not proof. According to the chatter, 50 Cent had planned an entire lane for episode 4, interviews, timelines, and insiders from that era. Netflix reportedly blocked it, citing controversy and legal risk without airtight verification. From there, conversation shifts to Aaliyah, another key piece of the supposed Jay-Z focused section. Everyone knows the R. Kelly-Aaliyah controversy, one of the darkest and most sensitive chapters from that era of the music industry.
Last question. I asked you to do this earlier, but I just want you to do it even more, go detailed. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's true killer is going to be unveiled, and it's not a man. And that woman died screaming.
Anything else?
Yeah. Show him the tape, Diddy. You got it.
Oh, man.
That might buy you a little time. You should probably stop looking for plastic surgeons.
Man.
Looking for a new life, new face. We're going to hang you high. Jay-Z too. Beyonce too. And we're going to round up all the fans. See, I love a good gay man. I just can't stand him. And that's what it is.
With that being
You want to know what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
I'm about to f up America.
What people point out is that the industry wasn't unaware. Reputations were known, and many chose to steer clear. Dame Dash, for instance, has publicly said he wanted nothing to do with R. Kelly, and fans often use that as a reference. So the question arises, if people in the scene understood the risks, why did others still work with him professionally? That's why Jay-Z's collaborations with R. Kelly get mentioned in these discussions, not as proof of wrongdoing, but as an example of how business sometimes moves, even amid controversy. It gets even messier online when unverified claims about personal interests, behind-the-scenes arrangements, and secret dealings are added to the narrative. There's no public evidence for these types of allegations, which is why responsible platforms typically avoid presenting them as fact. Of course, Jaguar Wright resurfaces in these conversations. Over the years, she's made numerous claims about industry silence, NDAS, and the pressure to stay quiet. She's also made personal allegations involving high-profile names, including claims about public image management. None of these are verified, and repeating them can turn rumor into amplification. When Jaguar hints at what really happened with Aaliyah, the internet immediately goes into conspiracy mode. Aaliyah tragically died in a plane crash in 2001, and since then, speculation has split into two camps. Some insist there was foul play, while others accept it as a tragic accident. That essentially is where the public discussion ends, or at least where verified facts end.
What actually happened to Aaliyah, there was no way I could stay.
Oh my God.
And then I started doing my research, and I started talking to other victims. I should have never signed that non-disclosure agreement, but I did. I took the blood oath, and so did my first husband.
Whoa.
And I left.
That's why it ain't never been right since, because you
Exactly.
left it. You don't leave anything like that.
I did. And he was paid to be my husband so no one would know who I was really involved.
What's safe to say is this: online conspiracies exist, but they are not evidence. Linking someone's death or any serious outcome to specific individuals without proof is exactly the kind of legal and ethical minefield that content creators avoid. So when people say 50 wanted to explore connections in episode 4, the simplest, most responsible way to frame it is this. The belief is he wanted to discuss power, pressure, and how careers and narratives can get shaped behind the scenes and without stepping into unprovable accusations. That's where the broader theme lands. There are public figures who can sit for major interviews, appear on high-profile platforms, and still avoid the toughest questions. And whenever a conversation comes close to high-risk allegations, viewers often feel like it's edited down, walked back, or fades from public view. That can happen for many reasons: legal review, platform rules, or producers deciding to limit exposure and liability. To be clear, content disappearing or being altered doesn't automatically mean someone powerful erased it. It could simply be rights issues, legal cautions, or the natural tightening of a show's narrative. But when viewers see something spread online and then notice it changed or vanished, it feeds the sense that certain conversations never stay public for long. And once that perception takes hold, the internet starts connecting dots. That's where names like Kathy White pop up in threads. If you haven't heard of her, you're not alone. There isn't widely verifiable public information about her. And that vacuum is exactly what rumor accounts exploit, filling gaps with speculation and linking dots that may not belong together. From there, the narrative can spiral quickly. Lists are stacked, connections are assumed, and suddenly everything is part of one massive story about power, leverage, and silence. Some of these claims are serious, some exaggerated, and some purely online mythology repeated until it sounds plausible. This is the line responsible reporting draws. Extreme allegations without verification, especially involving real people, should not be treated as fact. Repeating them only fuels a rumor machine. The pattern repeats itself every time. A clip goes viral, a name is attached, and the internet layers on missing footage, alleged secret evidence, leverage, and cover-ups. When content is edited or removed for normal reasons, the rumor crowd treats it as proof. The story grows not because it's verified, but because it's emotionally compelling. That's why Gene Deal's point about people speaking out resonates so strongly. Whether you agree with him or not, the message is clear. The internet changed the game. Clips, reactions, and conversations now live beyond traditional media, keeping narratives alive long after they were originally aired.
That's what's doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you can talk about this shit and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem, but these cats ain't street.
And that's exactly why the edit matters so much. It frames what feels official and what viewers perceive as reality. So here's the big question. Why would a platform choose to cut or avoid a segment that rumor accounts claim was explosive? The simplest, most plausible answer comes down to legal risk and editorial responsibility. If a segment can't be fully verified and it involves serious allegations against high-profile public figures, it's exactly the kind of content that could spark lawsuits, takedowns, and a legal headache for everyone involved. Platforms don't need to be covering anyone. They just have to weigh whether the risk is worth it. And the reality is, once a story reaches that level of controversy, what makes it into the cut becomes the narrative, while what's left out instantly becomes fuel for speculation and theories. For anyone interested in how these stories are shaped, what gets amplified versus quietly buried, and how framing can completely change public perception, media analyst Mike Tripp dives deep into the mechanics behind the headlines, not just the loudest rumors. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this is mostly about editing choices and legal caution, or do certain names genuinely get treated differently on purpose? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, hit like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.